built for this network, for the strong, not the weak.
What's up, guys? Hey, man. How y'all guys doing? We had a little technical difficulties, so we apologize for being a little late. But we are live now. First inaugural show of RaiderKev's Firearm Review. This is RaiderKev, and we're going to have a co-host, Brian. H-Rap-B. Give it our government name.
Same
Hell,
thing.
I'm doing. One hell of a host, ain't I? But listen, we guys, this is gonna be a show about firearms. We wanna, our mission for this show is to get comfortable with the conversation. We want people to be engaging with the show. If you're not a firearms person, you can still watch the show, because what our goal is not to just appeal to people who are firearm people. We want to appeal to people who are not, because we want to make the whole community comfortable with this conversation. We don't want it to be a negative conversation. We want it to be a positive conversation, because firearms aren't negative. Bad people that use firearms are negative, okay? The firearm is a negative, and it can actually be a benefit to your life. So that's what we want to try to bring out, and we want to try to enhance in this show. So we're not just trying to appeal to people who are on board with firearms. If you're not, give us an opportunity to give you a better understanding of what this is about, okay? Because it's not, we don't want firearms to be a scary thought. It must be a positive thought in our community, okay? And that's what our goal is, okay? So, all that being said, I want to reach out to my co-host. How you doing, H-Rap?
Sleepy as hell. Thank you, Alfred.
Yeah.
Alfred work on Sundays too.
Hey, the show don't start till Alfred brings the beverage, right?
Yeah, you know. Thank you, Alfred.
So listen, what I wanted to get into, the title of the show, RaiderKev's Firearms Review, right? And I want to use that word review for a specific reason, all right? It's not to just say I'm just going to review firearms or review, the Second Right Amendment. It's not for just that, okay? That word review, there's a certain definition, and I'm gonna read it here because I want to get a clear understanding of why I'm using the word review. As a verb, to explain or assess something formally with the possibility or intent of enhancing change if necessary. That last part is the key part. Change if necessary. And I think that goes back to my first part. This is not just, hey, everyone who's into firearms, let's come on and talk about firearms. No, we have to talk to the people who are not into firearms and make them comfortable. So, with that being said, let me ask you, Brian, what's your comfortable level when it comes to firearms?
About 0. I'm not really into firearms. It's something that I was starting to get into the more me and you talked about it. I'm a person who, at the end of the day, I think they're necessary with the temperature of the community, the United States of right now. I do my show on Tuesdays about basically it's a geopolitical black empowerment show, talking about black people, how we are connected throughout the diaspora, as well as especially throughout the country. People don't identify the fact that we are on the precipice of a civil war. There are a lot of angry people from European heritage that are in this country. They they are violent people. I'm not talking about every white person in America, because only a dumbass would say every white person in America out to get us. But there are some angry, dejected, disrespectful people in this country, and they are mounting the charge to hurt people who are not of their same heritage. So I think it's very necessary that people from our community be at no, if nothing else, get involved with firearms for protection. So that's why I am with it. That's why I agreed to be with you with this, because not only are you going to teach the listeners, you're going to be teaching me along the way as well.
So, and you said some things, some key statements, key parts of your statement. See, a lot in our community, I think a lot of people think of firearms and they're associated with crime, right? They're associated with bad intent, okay? And firearms are not. That's not the purpose. Certainly, people use it for those purposes.
Indeed.
You're giving them power. So that right, that second right, whether it was intended for us or not, we have to take advantage of it. We have to embrace it. We have to learn firearms. We have to learn firearm safety. We have to learn how to use them. We have to learn what type that we're comfortable with. There's a lot of things we have to cover because it's not simply about just getting a gun, having a gun, and then that's it. No, you either get a gun, register your gun, be legal. We're going to talk about insurance. There's ways that you can insure if you get into altercation, that you have people, have lawyers that have the intent or have the experience of protecting people with doing those shooting situations, self-defense situations, and practice. We have to learn to practice. So when we become efficient, we have an efficient with firearms. We have the efficient way of protecting ourselves, and that's the whole purpose of this show: to learn these things and to be comfortable with these things, and to to be able to not only and look. And it's not only training is not only for you, but it's for everyone in your home. Everyone in your home. So let me ask you this question. How important do you think firearms are to the community? We just talked about it a little bit, but how important do you think it is to our community?
Oh, it's most definitely important, man, because, like I said, look, well, it is, you know me, I like history. History has been my favorite topic from the time I walked into an institution of education, elementary school, high school, college, or what have you. Wherever I've been, it's always been a history situation. And if history is our guide, you know, I always reference that Sankofa bird. The bird he's facing this way, and his head is turned that way with an egg in his mouth. The egg represents the origins. And as you represent the origins, what you do is and he's looking back so you can see the origins, and it's letting you know I'm moving this way. So as I'm moving this way, you must use history as a gauge. History has shown us throughout the history, you know, last 168 years, that if we're not protecting ourselves, we will fall victims to the tyranny of the wicked people in this country. An elder by the name of Samuel Jackson, not Samuel L. Jackson. His name is Samuel Jackson. He's here in Chicago, Illinois. He once told me about his grandfather who owned land here in the United States of America, and the Caucasian people of the South attempted to take this land from him on a regular basis. And he said with firearms, he stopped them from doing that for years and years and years and years. Eventually, they came in a large enough force, they end up putting acid on them.
Wow.
You got books out there by the name of We Shoot Back. That lets you know that we're in a situation to whereas we have always been armed and ready to fight. We are not cowering to anything. So when you're speaking about this, we can no longer assume that the police will protect us, for one. We can no longer assume that they'll get there in a timely fashion. And we must understand that it is your inalienable right. It is, see, people look at things legally. I don't look at things legally. I look at things by nature. Shout out to my Aunt Lorraine Williams. She used to tell me, her son Michael, her daughter Pam, and her son Vincent, self-preservation is the first law of nature. So we're not going to be walking down the streets shooting at people, licking shots at people. But you know one thing? We'll just look at history. Huey P. Newton, Bobby Seals, and the Black Panther Party of self-defense. What were one of their mainstays? You saw them standing there, armed, ready to defend themselves legally. If you don't attack me, you don't have to worry about if I have a gun or not. Right. See, I don't care if RaiderKev is in Walmart with a gun, because I ain't going to bother nobody. So don't worry about if I have a gun. Guns are not bad. As you stated, Guns are not bad. People are bad. I've never seen a gun jump up off the table like this, aim itself at somebody and kill somebody and then lay itself back down. What I have done, I have seen, is a hand grab a gun and lay somebody down. I've seen that live and direct.
Right.
So, and that's what I'm talking about. So when we are looking at gun safety and how important it is, it's paramount. Because I don't have any grandchildren now, but I have children. My sister has children, so that means I have 6 nieces and nephews. Guess what? My nieces and nephews have children. That means I have great nieces and nephews. My brother has children. My cousin, Pam, has a daughter. Pam has 3 granddaughters. Pam is like my 4th sister, my 3rd sister. So my cousin Eric, my cousin Lynn, my uncle Richard, so forth and so on, my cousin Andre, Terry. These are the people that are closest to me. You, Janice. You in Texas, I'm in Illinois, but if we did live near each other, while you on the road, I'm popping a cap at somebody behind about Janice, just like she was my wife. So what gun safety could very well do is galvanize the community, because then it lets you know we safe. And guess what? A lot of these people don't even let their kids play in the backyard. The backyard, right?
Right.
When you in, I bet you the criminals, people with the criminal mentality, if they knew everybody on that block had a gun too, they might not be there.
Right.
So guns are important, bro.
Right. And that's a key point that you're making right there. You see, look at the Black Panther Party and the image of that rifle in their hand, right? And like you said, it wasn't that they were on a tank to say, I'm going to go get something, right? All they were saying was, if you're going to attack me, this is what you have to deal with. And that's what that gun could represent to you when you know, a lot of people have a problem with a lot of open carry laws in a lot of these states that are being passed, okay? And what people have to understand is that these laws are not new. They're actually reenacting or activating old laws. These laws have been on the books for years. It's just that they have been taken away from people. So now they're coming back up. See, people view, like I said, people have a negative view of guns at times because they see the movie or they see the news clip, the media showing the violence with the gun. They're showing the statistics of how many shootings or whatever, right? What they like to talk about is the percentages of people that have guns compared to the shootings with a gun. And it would be shocking to people. And that's the thing that we have, that's the thing, one of my goals, is to knock that image out of people's minds. I want people to be comfortable. I want people in our community to be comfortable. Because when you are comfortable, you make everyone around you comfortable. And then it becomes second nature. It becomes, like having a hat on your head.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So, and my next point is, and I want to get to is, it kind of leads into it. Am I okay with people in the community not being okay with guns? And my answer to that question would be yes. I'm very much okay with someone not being comfortable with guns. Not everything is for everyone, okay? Some people are going to be on board, some people are not. But I will say this, though. Just like, and I know this might be a vague or really a stretch, right? Not everyone is comfortable with driving. But they see it as a necessity, right? So they're going to call your friend to come drive you to the store. They're going to call a cab to come drive you to the
Hey, Brian. Hey, Brian works.
Man, I hear something around the corner. Can you come check it out? And be okay with him you coming to the house with the gun and checking things out. Okay? Because if she calls you, she knows everything is going to be cool. If she calls the cab, aka the cops, right? She's not sure if they're going to come and harm her. See what I'm saying? So I'm okay with the people around us or someone that isn't okay with guns, but understand that guns are not the evil, like we said earlier. It's the people. So don't knock the gun. Understand that there are good people that are there to protect not only themselves, but if you get close to your neighbor, they'll protect you. I have neighbors that I live around. I don't know if they are gun people or not. But if I hear something that happens in their home, right? If I hear something, I'm going to have my gun on the side, and I'm going to go check it out. I'm going to be on the phone also, but I'm going to go check it out. You have to have the community being okay with guns, even if you're not okay with it. Okay? That's one of the things we have to knock down. So, I'm not sure how you feel about it, but how do you feel about the people in the community not being okay with guns in general?
Well, people in the community, especially our community, I can't really speak for other communities, and I really shouldn't be speaking for our entire community because I ain't talked to all 55, 60 million of us. But I would assume that people in our community are comfortable with firearms because we have allowed ourselves to be curated by the news and things of that nature. See, when you say gun, in my opinion, and this is purely my opinion and speculation, but when you say gun to black people in America, I'm assuming they immediately think gangbanger, criminal, because that's the mentality that's being curated towards our community. See, if we cut down on some of these guns, people stop getting shot. No,
right, exactly.
You know, criminality is a direct correlation. The criminality has a direct correlation with lack of opportunity. If you start providing people with opportunities, then you'll have less violence. And if you have less violence, then you have less gun violence, and so forth and so on. It's amazing how they use that trickle down theory for everything but opportunities. If you give people opportunities, then the crime will stop. Because there are very few people on earth that just wake up and go, let me go rob me somebody, damn this job. Very few people that do that, but they don't put that image out there. And guns is one way to put it in people's head, you know, it's put it in people's head on how they gonna do something and move forward in this. So it's just a situation to whereas, hey man, it's just like, you know what, I equate the whole gun conversation to the pit bull, just like you used the analogy or the metaphoric phrase. The pit bull and the gun and black people got the same thing. Guns are bad and they gonna get you, and that's why people getting shot. Pit bulls will kill you, and you don't know anything about pit bulls. All they show you on TV is pit bulls hurting people, black people hurting people, guns hurting people. They don't let you know that one of the scariest, like police conversations, they'll tell you the scariest thing for a criminal here is a 12-gauge shotgun being cocked. Because he knows they ain't aiming at their family. They aiming at me.
Right.
So, yeah, man. And then, you know, at the end of the day, like my man Fly Tie sells, country folks say guns, we think hunting. Right. But in urban areas, we think violence because that's all we've been taught. Just like, I'm going to ask Ty a question if you don't mind. Hey, Ty, when you hear South Central Los Angeles, when you hear Chicago, when you hear New York City, when you hear Baltimore, so forth and so on, and you hear gun, what do you think? And I'm not challenging Ty, but I just want people to see. When you hear urban area, you think, exactly, Liddy Jones said, bang, bang. Exactly. So once we get to a point where we're comfortable with firearms, then I honestly believe it'll galvanize. Like I said a second ago, it'll galvanize the community because Mr. Jefferson next door, Miss Washington next door, or Mr. Smith or Mr. Jones across the street. When you know those people and you know they're armed and ready to fight, it's going down.
Exactly.
It's going. That criminal element is not standing on your corner. Hey man, I know a dude. I know a guy who is a certified. Chicago has this registry of gang members. It's a book, and it has every registered gang member in that book. He's in that book as a high-ranking gang member. I mean, he one of the homies. Yo, B, dropped me off over here. Yo, B, dropped me off over here. I dropped him. It went on for about 4 or 5 days, whatever. And he was like, "Hey, check it out, man." I said, "Hey, man, why don't y'all ever be on that block over there?" You know what he said? This is a high-ranking gang official, one of the biggest gangs in Chicago. He said, "Man, they call the police over there. I ain't going over there." So that destroys that myth of that gangbangers gonna get you if you call the police. Gangbangers know it's cops and robbers. And like Fly Ty said, in the South, y'all, everybody got a gun. Y'all, it ain't nothing to y'all.
Right.
But up here, we dumb enough to believe the TV. We need, again, this goes back to what I be saying on the show. We need to start going our behinds back down south. And when you see how comfortable our relatives and our elders are with guns, just laying around the house. Right. It's nothing to walk into a person's house in the South and go and see a gun just laying there. And all the children in that house ain't touching that gun because they know it's a problem coming along with touching that gun. So
Exactly.
You see, he said, I got the same here in VA, but they got shooting they there every day, so they can't discount it. Exactly. See. Right. See, like I just said, Fly Tie again. Fly Tie is giving affirmation to the things that I just said. Right. I learned how to shoot a gun at age 8.
Right.
In the South, a gun is nothing.
Right. So that kind of leads me to one of the other things that I want to talk about, and one of the things I think will help people become more comfortable with guns, right? And that's safety. When you learn that a gun is safe, that you have to do an action in order for it to shoot, right? And people say, well, man, it's kind of obvious, man. You know, he's talking about. We all know that, right? But when you understand the operation of a gun, guns are safe, and it takes an intent to pull that trigger. The trigger doesn't pull on its own. You have to have an intention on doing it, right? And that's one of the things we're going to cover on this show. We're going to cover how to make guns safe, how to use your safeties, how to practice, what you should be practicing. There's a lot of tips I want to share with people, because a lot of times when you talk about practice, a lot of people in the guns, you talk about practice, you're talking about range time, you're talking about, bullets and all these things, right?
I'm going to get your point of view on this.
Okay.
Liddy said, whenever I hear gun control, I hear N-word control. Let me hear what you got to say about that.
Liddy, that is a great point. Okay. So let's go back to something you mentioned. It'll be a great leadway to it. Black Panther Party, California, right? One of the reasons why California has some of the most stringent gun right laws, gun restriction laws, is because of the Black Panther Party. I wish I had the year. I don't have that information with me. But if you go back not to take guns out of most people's hands. It's to take guns out of our hands. Because once again, this is going to be a thing. If you're not protecting yourself, someone else is going to have to protect you. And what you're doing, you're allowing them to take control.
If I'm
giving them power.
And if I'm thinking of the same thing you thinking of, that was like July 1967, the Mumford Act, passed by former President Ronald Reagan, former governor at the time, Ronald Wilson Reagan. That's the Mumford Act. It's July 67. I'm thinking. But I know it's 67.
Exactly
The Mumford Act.
That's what I was thinking of. That's
Okay.
exactly what I was thinking of. And it was initiated directly because of the rise of the Black Panther Party.
Yeah, they stormed. If we're talking about the same law, it's because they stormed Sacramento. Sacramento is the capital of the state. They went into the legislative house with firearms.
Right.
And after that, that's when you got gun control.
Exactly.
Mumford Act. Look it up if you I know it's that, and I think it's July 67,
Right.
something like that.
Yeah. So just understand, people, when you hear gun control, when you hear these laws, understand who they're trying to control, man. They're really trying to control you. Because what they're trying to do is take your opportunity to protect yourself. And when you don't have an opportunity to protect yourself, you have to rely on someone else.
Okay.
You're giving them power. That's
Okay.
all you're doing is giving them power. So, and we also know when we call for protection, it's not always going to come out for our better interests.
Yeah.
Okay? So, then there's that also. Okay? So, and the thing about this is that, like I said, man, we are not going to, it's not about changing everyone's eyes. I mean, their ideas about guns. We want people to be comfortable. If you never pick up a gun, if my goal is you don't ever have to pick up a gun. But if the image in your mind is changed from a scary, horrible outcome to protection, then I have achieved my goal. I'm not trying to get everyone on board, but I'm trying to change the way you see guns. I'm trying to change the way the whole idea of a gun in your mind. Because what has happened in this country, what they have tried to do is try to enforce try to change the idea of guns in our community as being a negative act, a negative item. And it's not. It really isn't. So that's what my goal, and that's the whole purpose of this show.
Got another question by Charlotte. Are they using the mass shootings as an excuse to restrict us?
There's a politician, I don't even want to use her name. There's a politician that made a phrase one time, let's never let a tragedy go waste, or well, I forgot exactly how she said it, but basically what she was saying is, if there's a tragedy, let's use it. Let's use it to create laws to take guns out of people's hands. like I said, you won't have an effective way of protecting yourself. And that's my goal, to change that whole mindset. So, that being said, let's move on to another question I have. So, what do you think would make people more comfortable? What can be done to make people more comfortable in our community with firearms?
Well, like you said, man, when you look at that situation where some people are comfortable with driving. Like Glanisha, her name is what we call her Nikki. Glanisha's in the chat room. She's not comfortable driving. I'm gonna use your analogy again, your metaphor again. She doesn't really like driving on the interstate. Teresa, Tiki, she don't like driving on the interstate. But how do you get comfortable driving on the interstate? You just go out there and do it, you know. And I'm not encouraging either one of them to do it when they'll do it when they're ready. But that's how you get comfortable with anything, you know. How you get comfortable cooking. I don't know how to cook. But you find something easy to prepare and you do it. And just to use, I'm not even looking at the list, but something you told me. Find a gun you're comfortable with. Like if you're a big dude like me, I would say start off with a very little gun. You're definitely going to be able to control it. And then you're going to need more power after a while. Just like with driving. You scared to drive, you're uncomfortable. I'm not going to use the term fear. You're uncomfortable with driving on the interstate. Don't jump out there going 75 miles per hour. You jump out there, you drive to like from X place, like Chicago to like if you're on the west side of Chicago, you drive from Chicago maybe to Maywood or Bellwood, which is about 3 to 4 miles on the interstate. You're comfortable. You get comfortable. Then you drive 10 miles and so forth and so on. You're on the south side. You live in the south suburbs. You drive to downtown Chicago, 6 to 8 miles. You know what I mean? So I would say start off with something very small. Or how about this? Again, learning from, just from our general conversations. Don't even use the firearm. Go and watch and see how little energy it takes to control the firearm.
Right.
And then you move your way up. And just like anything else, man, you must immerse yourself into anything so you can see the shooting the gun, it ain't gonna explode and melt in your hand. Ain't nobody gonna jump up, walk up and Mel Gibson and snatch the top of the gun off and all that. Because that's TV, that's for fun.
Right.
This is about your life. And for the ladies, primarily it's a lot of ladies that are uncomfortable with firearms, in my opinion.
Right.
Well, northern ladies, because again, man, people Lord in that Mason-Dixon line will shoot the hell out of you. You come around them playing, I know it from experience. Just talking to people, got friends down there, family down there. You shoot the hell out you. Like it's a book. We shoot back. And but sisters that's in California and places that are not very comfortable with firearms, start off slow. Walk into it. You ain't gotta run into it. A lot of people think you got to come out and you clean it. Nah, turn that damn TV off and go to the gun range and just watch people. And you're going to see little bitty women, see big old men, and everybody in between. And then you get comfortable. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. Well, you touched on some nice subjects there. So, yeah, I think the best way of people becoming comfortable is I think first, just have a conversation, okay? Just by talking, I think a lot of times you get people minds off of what they think they know and start understanding what's real, okay? A lot of times, Okay? All these things that we're going to talk about. Okay? I'm going to offer something that a lot of people charge for. I have an email address. It's RaiderKev's 1975. It's easy email to remember. RaiderKev is my name. 1975 is the greatest year in the world because in history, because it's the year I became a Raider fan. So everyone can remember that number. That's the easy number to remember. Okay? But what I'm getting at is we're going to
At Gmail or
email.
at Gmail.
It's an email.
You
Oh, I'm gonna get it, man. RaiderKev 1975 at yahoo.com. Big dummy. Oh man. Okay. RaiderKev 1975 yahoo.com. There it is. So, guys, if you have any questions about firearms, just hit me up with an email. A lot of people are going to charge you for consultation about how to purchase one, what to purchase. Guys, all I want to do is make you comfortable. So I'm not going to charge you a dime. Okay? I just want to have a healthy conversation with you. There are going to be some questions I'm going to ask you when you email me. Okay? But I promise you, I'm going to lead you down the right direction. I won't ever charge you a dime. And I just want to offer my services because I want the community, I want our community to be comfortable with this whole discussion. Okay? So, guys, that's pretty much it. We're going to wrap this up. This is just an introduction to the show. We're going to have some longer shows later down the road. Like I said, I'm going to show you some firearms. I'm going to show you how to do some certain things. We're going to talk about certain features of a firearm. Also, use that email if you have any questions that you want me to answer live on air. I'll do that also. Okay? Also, another thing. I am not a know-it-all. I also want to learn. So if there's something that you want to teach me, something you want to show me, okay? This is a two-way conversation, not a one-way conversation, okay? So if there are things that you want to talk about, let's talk about it. If there's something that I'm saying that is wrong, I really want you to talk to me about if you feel I'm saying something wrong, okay? When we get into discussion about firearms, I want you in the chat room. That's why, look, this is a podcast. You can catch it later on. But the benefit of being in the chat room live is that you have an opportunity to have a discussion about something that I'm saying. And if you don't agree with something that I'm saying, let's talk. Okay? Like I said, I'm not a know-it-all. I'm going to pretend to have all the answers. So I'm going to rely on the community to help us. Okay? This is our fight. This is not just my fight. I want it to be our fight. Okay? A-Trap has been flashing a lot of the shows that are also on the network. Tune into some of these shows, man. We have some good conversations. We try to enhance the community. We try to entertain the community, right? And let's be engaging with all these shows, man. Let's grow this network. Let's grow our community. Okay? That's my purpose. That's my whole goal, man. I want to grow our whole community. So, you have any parting words, A-Trap?
No, it should be a great. It should be a great situation. As Fly Tie, shout out to Fly Tie. It's good. It should be informative. It should be beneficial to everybody who watches. And as you said, if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to RaiderKev and reach out to everybody on the show. You know, that's his email. And if you have any questions, concerns, or if you want to ask something to the program that you want him to talk about, you send him that email at RaiderKev1975 at yahoo.com. So it can be beneficial to you, him, and continue to grow the network, continue to grow the show, and put us in a situation to whereas we can only be an assistance to each other and not a hindrance to each other. Because as Fly Ty said, I've never heard of a gun killing anybody, and I'm a second that, as they used to say in the 70s, I'm a second that emotion. So we need to get out of this mind state of things hurting us instead of realizing certain individuals hurt us. They are not representative of us, but in some cases, these people will do their very best to make us look bad. And people like RaiderKev and shows like mine and other shows that I've shown you throughout the program, whether it be Queens, 3 and Kings, whether it be the Forecast, whether it be my man Justin on Elevate Podcast, Big Mo and Jay on Tiger Park, Chef D on Fine as Wine, Rosalind's Reviews, where she's doing this Black History review, DJ Mad Knox and Chiz Roundtree and James Earl, Theory of the Culture, this show, Rap Sessions with me, Charlotte, and RaiderKev on Thursdays. Me and my son doing the show bi-weekly, twice a week, every month, talking about the perspective of the world. Well, this show, from a 28-year-old man, a 51-year-old man, well, this show right here, RaiderKev's Firearms Safety Review. All we're trying to do is add a service and help people who otherwise have been skewed in the wrong direction in our opinions. You know, people say what they want to say and do what they want to do, and they are unfounded in their opinions. RaiderKev is taking it upon himself, in my personal opinion, to do away with a lot of that propaganda about guns. Black people don't hurt people with guns. White people don't hurt people with guns. Stupid people hurt people with guns. And that's just it. Stupid, uninformed, ignorant people are out here hurting people with guns. Understand, 300 million people in this country, not all of them are maniacs carrying guns. So, with that being said, the floor is yours again, RaiderKev. You can close out.
So, so I want to let everyone know also, this show is not going to be every week. It's going to be a bi-weekly show. We're going to do this every other week. We're going to try our best to do it on Sundays around this time. And I just encourage you to subscribe to the network, and then at the Bench Podcast. I mean, and then at the Bench Podcast, yes. Subscribe to the show. Hit the notification bell. That way, all the programming, you get an alert on all the programming. Okay. We try to be as consistent as we can, but guys, you gotta understand, man. We have other things we have to do. We have other obligations we have to meet. So if it's not going to always be at the same time, but I promise you one thing: we're doing our best to be consistent, and we just hope that you follow us and give us an opportunity, man, to try to grow this thing. Okay, we can't do this without you. Okay, so we need you. All right, and I'm gonna end this, man, like I always end my videos, man. Guys, let's take care of each other. Let's love each other. Okay? And guys, be blessed. RaiderKev and A-Trap, we are out. Peace.
We are built for this network, for the strong, not the weak.
Is J-Ron on crack, man?
I don't know, man. That dude, he be out there, boy.
I used to shoot big hands. Shut your dumb ass up. You almost want to go see them. It's them dumb white motherfuckers that's using
Right.
dumbass white people like him.
Exactly.
He,
That's that Canadian. I just say that's that Canadian humor, man.
no, he's just a dumbass. He's just a dumbass. I ain't blaming that on Canada. He's just a dumbass. Nope.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
J. Ron is just a dumbass.
Yep.
It was something I was
What do you
like,
think, man?
oh, I think it was great. I mean, it was something. Somebody said something I wanted to say something about. Can't remember what it was. I was just like, shut your ass up. I wanted to say, shut your stupid. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. You know what, man? Love him like a brother, man. Good brother. But you know what, man?